Come join Libby and Molly, the ladies of Consignment Chats, as we build a resourceful community of collaborative resellers.
Hey y'all, welcome to episode 88. We are catching up with the Seller Community Podcast today and two of our favorite people to hang out with, Doug and Clara. Libby, are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
I love it. We're having too much fun chit-chatting.
All right, our C chatters. As you see, we have our special guest, two of our favorite people here. Joining us for episode 88, we have Doug and Clara from the Seller Community Podcast. How are you guys?
Hello.
Yes. Hi, Molly.
Welcome.
So I'm gonna be honest with y'all. We jumped in, getting ready to hit the record button, and all of a sudden we were chatting, having so much fun about our last episode. I said, "Wait a minute, we should be recording all this. People will love this."
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. We had so much fun recording with you guys. It was. I even listened to it after the fact, and I was laughing. I was just sitting here laughing. And even my mom listened to it and she was like, "Oh my gosh, that was so funny. I so enjoyed that." Yeah.
And I love how you both literally do complete each other's sentences. If there's a pause, you go, "Oh," because you know what the other is going to say.
And
sometimes I get it wrong, but Molly just kind of smiles and
I'll just go with it. Oh yeah, sure.
Well, I'm going to share with your audience because our last podcast in the Seller Community Podcast was so much fun that I was saying off camera before Molly hit the record button. I was like, if I could turn back time, because I felt like doing consignment and like you made it so simple, so easy that literally I was thinking of consignment, my head thinking of solutions and so forth. So it was so enlightening. Thank you so much. It was fun and so educational.
Oh, wow. Thanks. I'm so happy to hear that.
We got the love going.
I'm almost ready to start selling my friends' books that are taking up room in the closet.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Got to make a plan. We're going to hold you accountable, Doug.
Yeah.
Libby and I love to do accountability. So we need a date. When are you going to start on that so we can hold you accountable?
Yeah.
Put it out there.
Let's
30,
do
60.
No pressure.
Clara and I have a busy couple months. So
okay, let's do 60. Come on.
September.
Okay, let's do 60 days from now.
60 days from now.
Okay.
60 days from now. Mark it down. Down.
When we see you in Vegas at the Boss Remix, you're going to have worked on it, right?
Yes.
Done? Will you be done by then?
There's a lot of books.
All right.
One book at a time, Daggy. Let's do this because I really want to also create a solution for consignment. So let's do this, okay?
Okay, I'll test it.
All right. Beta tester right here.
We're going to
wrote it down.
We're going to get your numbers when we see you in Vegas.
You're my pros, okay? First, we start like always we do, we start testing them on ourselves. But yes, for sure, you will be the first one to test any solution that LP would have for consignment. And again, you guys made us so excited. I was talking to Amanda about it and telling her, the mistakes we've made. We had no structure, no process. And it was just love for family and friends. And that's not consignment.
Right.
And come back.
Now you're ready. All you have to do is visit Consignment Chats and we will get you started. And
love it.
We'll hold Doug's feet to the fire as well.
That's right. You're now it's out there. You're now going to have it started by the time we see you in Vegas.
This is how Molly gets me to start things. Is she makes me say a date on camera, and then I'm like, "Oh yeah, all right, wait, I got to do that."
And then that pressure, like, "Oh, I gotta face these people again."
Yeah.
Right? So, Clara, you were talking about List Perfectly. I want to know how it came about. I want to know where the beginning story of List Perfectly. A lot of our C chatters, in fact, I think the majority use List Perfectly. So we want the deets. We want the beginning, from the beginning.
I love it. So I was hopeless and lost in finances and banking. I found myself on an industry that didn't make me happy. I found myself in a structure, corporate banking structures that it wasn't matching anymore my desires. I got a beautiful severance package. I'm doing barbecues in my house. I'm playing rock band. I have nothing to worry about, right? And inviting friends, and friends invite friends, and you know how it is, right? And that Amanda comes in. I meet her, hey, hey. And then she asked me 13 years ago, she asked me for my Wi Fi password. And you got to understand, I was in banking. My first question was to all my friends, hey, can we trust her? They're, yes, okay. Yeah, because I access, finances from my house as
Sure.
well. You don't know
Sure,
who could
sure.
be, you don't know, right? And I meet Amanda and she's smiling. We're all eating, celebrating, and she's on a corner of my house by herself and smiling, smirking. And I was like, okay, wait a second. What
What's
is this
fun?
about? I want to be part of this. What's going on there? So I go to her. She tells me, "Hey, I just sold the best in eBay for $200. All I could see is a hole. Okay, all I could see was a hole in a chest. Okay, and I'm like, oh wow, congrats. Is that even legal? It has a little hole in the chest. And she's like, oh no, yes it is, as long as you disclose it in the description and you let the buyers know the condition and you take pictures, they are fine with it. And they paid $200. She's like, yes. And then I was like, well, I was skeptical. Oh, poor thing, my ignorance was still at that time, 13 years ago. Oh, poor thing, she sells on eBay, she's broke. And then I see her again. She comes again. She's like, "Hey, can I show you something?" And I'm like, "Yeah." 5 stars. Okay. The guy is like, "Thank you so much." Sends her a message on eBay and an email, because at that time on eBay you couldn't send images. And send us an email saying, "Thanks to you, I was able to renew my vows with my wife using the same vest of 10 years ago." And that touch, that's it.
Oh,
That
love it.
that was it. That's how I was like, okay, this is meaningful. I started to do shipping for her. I realized her strength was not people. She was more technical. She was the one, always trying to streamline the listing process. So by that time, the first version of List Perfectly is 800 templates in Word documents. Okay. We had templates for everything. Okay. Jackets, one-tone jacket, two-tone jacket, three-tone jacket, wool jacket, leather jacket. You
Oh my
name
God,
it.
my blood pressure is going up as we speak.
You name it. We had Melton wool jacket. I don't know, Woolrich wool rat. You name it, we had it. Okay, so then we realized we needed a manager for those templates. So Amanda, created something very basic to manage those templates, and then we realized this is not enough. At that same time, I've diagnosed at 4240, actually, I'm diagnosed with chronic debilitating osteoarthritis, aka deformative arthritis. Started in my hands, okay? First started deform my right hand, then deform my left hand, then deform my elbow, then it took over my collarbone, then my shoulder, and then all my spine, all of it. Started with cervical, moved to thorax, then go to lumbar, and then finished with my sciatica. I felt like quitting. I was not understanding pain management. I had no meditation skills. Um, Finally, I found something that made me happy, reselling online, and I'm diagnosed with something debilitating. So I told Amanda I quit. I'm going to go to my corner, file for disability, and lick my wounds. And Amanda is like, heck no, give me 2 years of your sacrifice. I will teach myself coding. We've been talking about this. We even have diagrams, and papers of how we dreamed. Okay, we didn't even know that it would be called cross listing. Okay, so we just wanted to move large batches of listings across marketplaces. In the desperation, and Amanda, she's very, you put like a challenge, oh, it's like fuel for her. So in a year and so, I think that the worst part was a year that we wasted, trying to get other people to code for us. And they told us we're crazy. It's going to cost you $500,000. You will never take this off. You need investors. Woman in tech, it's only 2%. Okay. Latinas, okay, in tech is only 0.00. I think I'm the only one. Okay. So, to be honest. Okay. So,
Trailblazer.
Yeah.
Trailblazer, yes.
So I am okay. All I have to do is sell more. In the meantime, I'm telling Amanda what I like. So she's like, okay, we start with the basic. It was so basic. We called it a Mandy lister, and so we call it the Mandy lister at that time. So, and it was very interesting because we were able to grow together, even though we trusted each other so much, because she was coding. I didn't know what she was doing. And at the same time, I was so focused on making money, I didn't have time to do the banking part. And I'm the banker. So imagine how much trust I had to have on her. At the same time, we're doing our own trademarks, our own patents. We're doing everything ourselves. And that's when this clothing came about, because all of our employees were learning fast. And whoever touched the Mandy lister was like, you need to give these to other people. And I got everybody that worked for us is selling online now. So I created little online resellers, and that motivated us, and we came with Liz Clothing. We tried to get investors, and they told us to stay on clothing, and we're like, no, we want everything. And then that's how we changed to Liz Perfectly. And then 2019 is the time after eBay opened that changes our life. I'm down to my last $1,500. I'm sleeping only 2 hours a day. I'm medicated with pills. I'm not, feeding myself right. I'm not, sleeping well. I'm not, taking my walks as I supposed to. And literally, overnight, we get 1,500 signups, and that was it, and desperation, determination, and trusting each other, and surrounding yourself with people that believe in you. Teresa Cox, first user of Liz Perfectly. I was I was on the floor, to be honest. When I was on eBay Open, we had only money for one ticket. Of course, I could have got myself in additional debt. Okay, but you're not. I'm at capacity, right? These are my former employers, the ones that they gave me the money. I had $200,000 in debt. So if this didn't work, I can't go back to them. And that's what I knew how to do, fast money. So eBay Open 2019 came about. I made the joke, I'm going to get so many signups, I'm going to take down your server. And that happened. And let me tell you, that was not fun at all. And that's how we put a waiting list. And the rest was just an incredible journey that we're still writing the story. And I cannot even tell you where it's going.
So it was people that you had working with you that really encouraged you to branch out. And like in your mind, so you go to eBay Open, like, did you know what a huge problem you were solving with Liz Perfectly? Like, did you have any idea? Okay,
yes.
You did.
I did, but I didn't know. I didn't know. I'm a banker. I'm not I never been a CEO.
Yeah.
I've never run a technology company. We didn't even know how to call when we invented the bulk cross poster, okay, which is cross posting large batches of listings. Mm-hmm. We didn't even know how to call it. What are we going to call it? The big cross poster? So we have to come up with those names. So it was, for me, was learning to. I had a lot of panic attacks because I felt that I wasn't the right person for Amanda to take Liz Perfectly to the next level. And that I realized it was a chip on my shoulder and also chronic pain. And I remember I left for Argentina and I told Amanda, get yourself another partner. And I left to Argentina. And over there, medicine is much affordable, and of course, I'm a citizen over there, so it's much easier, to get medical coverage, especially for a complicated condition like I had. Amanda goes and gets me, and she tells me, "You got what it takes," and we do the first podcast or a YouTube live session that we did it concurrently. We did it from Argentina. I'll never forget. And Teresa being the moderator from Phoenix. And that changed it. I was like, okay, she believes in me. And I'm like, oh, what do you see in me that I don't see it? And then she told me one thing that changed my life forever. I knew it wasn't you speaking. I know you better. It was the chronic pain speaking. And that changed me.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, Molly and I have that conversation a lot. And I think a lot of people do have like what I'm going to call imposter syndrome, right? Like you always feel like you can't do it or you're not enough or somebody else has something more. I mean, I think a lot of people really, really do struggle with that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear that you overcame it and Amanda, coaxed you forward. And I think a lot of the success of List Perfectly, to me, listening seems like because you didn't have the knowledge or you didn't have the preconceived notions or you didn't say, all right, well, it's going to cost $500,000 to develop, was definitely part of the success. You didn't have all of those preconceived notions. So
kind of that ignorance is bliss in that case. Not
That's right.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is in that case. All right. So big part of your business is community, and part of that is the Seller Community Podcast by List Perfectly. Like how did it come about, and how do you use that to build community? What do you kind of see in that?
So this was an incredible story because I would have never guessed. Okay, again, the journeys that reselling takes, I can't even be more grateful for e-commerce because I get to know Doug Smith, right? And he proposes, hey, why don't we do a podcast? I have experience with eBay. He's a former eBay employee. And
oh, wait, so it was Doug's idea to do the podcast.
100%.
Oh, all right.
100%. I could have wanted it, but one thing is to want something and to dream, hey, I would love to, I don't know, I would love to own a Mercedes. I don't know, but the thing is how you're going to, I would love $10 million, right? But, how you're going to go for it, right? And that comes to, and I swear I launched it. I heard when he said,
this is true.
I think he finished the word podcast, and I'm like, I want it. Doug, please go ahead.
Yeah, so Clara does move fast. No, we're not surprised by that. But
but can I just back up a second? Can you start with why List Perfectly and why you had the idea? And maybe you were going there already, but I definitely want to hear that.
So a little bit back. So, I was at eBay, and one of the big things I worked on was the eBay for Business podcast. And so when eBay and I broke up, when we parted ways, I still love eBay, and I think she still loves me. But
yes, she does. Yes, she does.
All right, thank you. So, and I worked in community there, and I loved the community, and I saw that podcasts were, coming up, and so I specifically wanted to launch a podcast that would be for the bigger community, not just eBay focused. And it's like, do I do this myself? Because if I do, I knew that I needed some kind of backing. And so what I did was I wanted to learn how to do it from scratch. So actually, my wife and a friend, we were going to start a podcast called We Should Be Recording This. And so I wanted to learn everything. And so they're like, oh, you're going to be great. You're so good. You're so funny. Your personality's crazy. And then our first episode, we got on and they're crazy. And I'm like, hey, ladies. Yeah, thanks. And they're like, where's your personality? And I had to work up to it. But so what I did is I wanted to launch a podcast. It was totally like that. I was like, they're like, hey, Doug, what's up? I'm like, hey, ladies, how's it going?
I have such a hard time picturing that.
I have it somewhere. I should send it to you.
Oh, please. Gotta do it through Throwback Thursday, please. Okay?
And
I promise I'll show you when I froze, okay, in front of investors for 3 minutes, okay? I promise, okay? I have the video, okay?
These things happen. You never know.
Oh, yeah.
I do love live stuff, though. But And so I wanted to do it from scratch. So I launched my music podcast from scratch and did everything. And then I wanted to do this,
Cue the name. Come on, drop the name.
Albums that saved us.
Awesome podcast,
So
by the way.
That's my music. That's my little music passion side project hobby.
It's great.
Thanks for the plug.
Yeah.
But it was even like a year out before Clara, I wanted to launch an e-commerce podcast. And then we both knew Liz O'Kane. So she and I had talked about it and she didn't want to do it. And then finally it got to the point where she had agreed to do it. And she introduced me to Clara late. I think it was like late on a Monday afternoon. And Clara's like, well, what is it you want to do? And I kind of had a loose idea. It was like, yeah, here's the idea. But the main thing would be tell stories, seller stories, community, talk about that. And then, by that next morning, Clara was like, how are we going to do this? Clara got back to me early that next morning and was like, let's do it. And, had complete leeway. But the big thing was just to, focus on community and telling stories. And we just kind of grew it from there. And now, having a big backer helps, but, what attracted me to the reason I wanted to do this with List Perfectly was the community aspect. So I had heard of List Perfectly, I looked into things, and I could tell, because that's my background, I could tell that they are community oriented, that they listen to the community, that they take the feedback, and that's important, and that they offer, I saw initially in the Facebook group, is like they're offering a spot that is an open forum for, it's not just about List Perfectly, it's about selling, it's about community, it's about all the different marketplaces. And so just offering that resource value. And then part of it too was getting back into the seller community, because I just love the community. I love the opportunity. I love that, it offers no barriers for people to change their lives. Like my wife she's devastated because she has to go back to work tomorrow because she's an instructional aide at a middle school and she doesn't want to go back to work. I've been telling her, sell online.
Yeah, I mean,
and she's got chronic pain and she's got issues, but that's what I love is like the opportunities that are afforded for the right type of person. So
yeah, it's not for everybody, but the barrier to entry is just so low and the community is so strong and so supportive that
yeah.
Oh, I want her to give it a go. I want her to give it a go.
She will.
Yes, she will.
So I have a similarity actually with you, Clara. I also was very disheartened. I worked in a bank in the mortgage department. That was my last job before I started this. Yeah,
I started with mortgages. And then I moved to unsecured, and then they moved me all over, okay, with secure, unsecured loans. And then they put me with credit cards and checking and savings and stocks. And ay, Dios mío, but no, wow. So
and I was just like, I can't live my life. I was like, I didn't get the good severance package or anything like that. But I was just like, I can't, like, I don't feel good about what I'm doing. Like, I don't feel like I'm setting a good example of my life for my kids and, living my best life. And so you definitely feel that similarity of wanting to do something and feel good about what you're doing and giving back.
I was lucky, to be honest, that they gave me freedom. And the reason I got the severance package is because meanwhile, everybody was refinancing people. I was doing like 20 adjustment of terms every day.
And it's like a pressure cooker. Yeah.
I was saving people's houses. It was left and right 8 months that I was like that. And I'll never forget. And still wasn't enough, Livy. Still wasn't enough. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful for what they taught me, but it still wasn't enough, like reselling and finding my own voice and healing myself.
Yeah. So I have another question for you, Doug. So, all right, you were attracted to the already existing LP community, and then, you enhanced that with the podcast. Like, what have you seen growth-wise or connection-wise because of the podcast and because of that community you're bringing to List Perfectly, and kind of like what else do you do with List Perfectly? Because I know it's not just podcast.
Sure. So, so the interesting thing is that we do the podcast all in-house. Everything's done in-house. Nothing's outsourced. So that's like, and it's a lot to do a weekly podcast. So eBay has a team of several,
Is
that work
it?
on theirs?
No, I'm
What's
just
it?
kidding.
Is it? Yeah. Well, you guys know.
Hi, Libby.
Sure. I
But
don't know.
it's-
It's pretty easy.
But you do. I mean, so if you think you've got booking and tracking people down, and you guys know booking takes a while.
Sure.
Then you've got, the recording and the planning and the, planning out your questions and editing. Editing takes forever and just all that. So it's a challenge to put out an episode a week, but we do it, and we haven't missed one since we started. We're on 81 episodes. So
Woo!
yeah.
Oh, we're running neck and neck here.
That's right.
Oh my
Well, you guys-
gosh.
yeah, this will
That's
be
so
88.
cool.
That's a cool number. And just I think the growth is we really we inspire people, we help them share their stories, and we're really inspired by the stories that are shared as well. So that's super cool. And it does help. It helps List Perfectly get more exposure into the community, and it helps us connect with the community. It helps us learn and engage from the community and just learn different things and just all the inspiring stories and all the people we talk to. So there's the podcast. I also manage our blog, which is listperfectly.com/blog. And so that's it's a very similar approach. A lot of seller stories, a lot of seller tips. And we do share probably a little more List Perfectly stuff in the blog than we do on the podcast. But that's, it's another means to get content out and get updates out. And then obviously I do a lot of lives with Clara, do a lot of social support, a lot of seller engagement. I manage the LinkedIn channel as well, but a lot of seller engagement that just goes on, messaging people and talking to sellers and touching base and just, a lot of the stuff that I used to do at eBay as well. So have a lot of fun. I love my job. I'm very lucky to work so closely with Clara. And Clara and I think we complement each other well. And we've said too, is like we definitely had an adjustment period because we have different styles, but that works together. And we got to a point where we just had to be like brutally honest with each other and like, this is how I work, this is how I work. And we figured it out. And so here we are today.
Yep. Any good thing is worth it. So I have to say what you said about the podcast and seller engagement. So I was a List Perfectly user well before the podcast. But to me, it was, another cross-listing tool. It didn't really, it was a tool I used. Okay.
Yeah.
I listened to the first podcast with Amanda and Clara, and I was like, I will never switch. I love what they are doing. I love that connection. I love that community because I'm not big on social media and all of that stuff. So for me, that was the connection. I immediately called Molly and was like, you have to listen to this. Like we are connected. This is, so for me, that was like the biggest piece of engagement.
These are our people, she says.
Yeah. And it was absolutely because of the podcast. It was absolutely because of the podcast because I'm not going to be in the Facebook group usually unless I have a problem, and it's just not where I spend my time. Yep. But I know it's a great community and all that and all of that. And I've definitely gotten some great help and support in there. But it was definitely the podcast that touched my heart and made me a List Perfectly user for life.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Despite all the amazing things. I mean, it does so many amazing things on top of that. Like it's just a great tool. It's just a great tool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it helps us be accessible. It helps us seem like we're not just a company that is trying to make money. We are there. We're part of the community. We, we have some of the same issues. We help. We help people improve their businesses. We help people learn. Like our top episode is the eBay SEO episode, and so many sellers have said that literally changed the way I list on eBay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then
that was a great one.
Yeah. From there,
there's 2 or 3 of those, right? With Dave Snyder?
There's 3.
3.
The first one is like good for high level, but there's 3 eBay SEO episodes, and then and it helps us get the story out more because there are all these different channels that we have, but it's just a good way to get the story out. And podcasts are big. That helps too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People nowadays are dying to connect. I mean, they just want to connect. So
especially those of us that work by ourselves all day,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Working alone. As we talk about community and we are running down to the end of our time together, gosh, that's so sad to say. I want to ask you, each the same question. Let's each take turns answering it. What advice would you give resellers that are trying to build community in their brands?
Oh, all right. Number one, be who you really are. Just don't try to pretend, and be, you don't need to, people will appreciate you being vulnerable. You can't hide on a camera. You can't even if you're not making a live, you can't hide on a camera. So talk to the camera, make friends with the camera. I used to have panic attacks. Okay, I pitched List Perfectly to investors and I didn't say a word for 3 minutes. Okay, I think I said something, but I couldn't even speak. My English couldn't come out. So my my biggest advice, okay, is to keep it real. Okay, go one channel at a time, address people, every message. All right, that's when, whether you're 100 members in your group or 10,000, make sure you get people to help you manage that channel, that have aligned visions, okay, of with what you're trying to accomplish. Surround yourself with people that want to have fun with you, going live and so forth, because it's a beautiful journey if you enjoy it, and that's what people want to see.
Wow. Yes. Couldn't agree more.
And I definitely agree. Be authentic, be real, be yourself, be patient, give yourself the chance, be willing to fail and learn from your mistakes. You will make mistakes, but just get out there and do it. Get started, try it out. There are some, like, we all have these little super high, well, most of us have these super high end little things in our pockets that are video cameras. You can record on there. Just try it. Try to do it yourself. But be patient. It's going to take time. And the big thing is too, is get past the fear. Push yourself, because once you get beyond fear, it's when you change, when you can see success and you can believe in yourself.
That's right.
That is so true. That is so true.
Absolutely.
I was very, very fearful in the beginning. So do you think that video is the key? Because both your answers surprisingly centered around video. Do you think video is a great tool or a necessary tool to connect and build community?
That's right. Yes, because with video is the future. Marketplaces, social media platforms, anything, e-commerce, every industry is embracing videos, and we are heading, as a human kind of society, we're heading towards that direction. So yes, you could do a podcast, but even our podcast, we share, okay, the videos in YouTube, because you target different. It's like reselling, right? eBay has a whole different audience from Poshmark. So does people that do podcast versus YouTube versus video. Whether you're hosting the video on your website or you're doing a YouTube channel, or you created a video-based reselling channel, okay? So I think that embracing video is going to be a great investment, whether you're consigning or reselling. It's going to be a great investment and return of investment of your time and your effort, because that's where e-commerce is going, social media platforms, and that's where people's buyers are, and they really want to connect with the brand, with the people behind it.
I agree. We've seen that in our business and in consignment chats. We've definitely seen that video was the key to connecting. And we had a great piece of advice that I'm going to repeat from Adara Palmer when she was talking about branding. She said, you can't outsource your face, whether it's video, whether it's a static image, whatever it is, you can't outsource your face. And it was like probably one of the best pieces of advice I've ever received. Yeah. So now our faces are everywhere.
Now you go.
I'm sick of looking at me, right? But
people want to see faces, but the big thing with video, I agree, video is going to be big. But the big thing is it can be gritty. It doesn't have to be super polished.
Absolutely.
You're seeing more and more of that right now, and that's because it works. Authenticity works.
Absolutely.
Like I always say our customers love when I come on all disheveled with no makeup. Like those videos do great. Yeah. When I have my makeup all done, my hair looks nice. People really don't care.
Couldn't agree more.
My authentic soapbox. I love that y'all are standing on it with me. I preach that all the time. Well, I hate to end this, but our time is up, and we are going to have these authentic faces back again in the near future because we love our time with you. So thank you both so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. A pleasure.
Wow. Again.
I know. Fun as always, right? I mean, do we do anything that isn't fun when we do these podcasts? I mean,
no.
But hanging out with Doug, and Clara, I've always got a soft spot in my heart for Snoop Dogg. I just think
I know you do.
Hilarious. But the two of them, so much fun.
So much heart in their business. And I think what it is I love about the reseller community is that people are passionate about what they do. Their heart is in it. They are just real, authentic, as we talked about, right?
Yep.
Being authentic, but just, it warms my soul.
Yep. Yep. That's the first time I'd heard that story. So it was really nice to hear. I mean, some parts hard to hear, but wow, what a great ending, or I don't want to say an ending because they're still progressing.
Right. I feel like they are at the beginning of a pretty amazing journey.
It's a moving story for sure. Yeah. I feel like Amanda's your people.
There's a lot of similarities, right? Yeah. And I see a lot of similarities between you and Clara when we have those conversations. Yeah, I really do. I really do.
So much fun. Yeah. Right. You got any updates for us? What do we?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about List Perfectly.
Okay, go for it.
And, because we've done several videos about how we use it and how I use it in my business. They're amazing. We have a link for List Perfectly as our favorite items, like right on our website. But it really is a game changer for so many resellers. It really is a game changer. Everybody uses it a little differently. It's flexible. So if you want to get your things from one platform to the other, and when I started on it, and I think this may still be the case, it is the only platform to platform lister. So you can go from eBay to Facebook Marketplace. You don't have to import anything into List Perfectly, which is a differentiator. A lot of people don't use it like that, but I do sometimes. So the flexibility is great. I have a video about it, and somebody just recently asked me about it, so I'm going to pop that in the links as well, is how I use it on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
I mean, I do a lot of sales on Facebook Marketplace and have a lot of engagement to our Facebook business page and things like that. So check out those. I think there's two videos that I'll link up all about Facebook Marketplace, because if your customers are on Facebook already, you got to tap into that ever-growing market. Yeah.
Good advice. And what better to do that with than List Perfectly? It's such
I couldn't do it without. Well, actually, I could do it without. I did do it before List Perfectly existed. I did it all manually.
And that was taking more time, and time is money, as we say over and over again. So List Perfectly, you might pay a little bit of a monthly fee for it, but the money it saves you in time for getting your items to all your platforms, it's worth it. It more than pays for itself. And a lot of people use it for their inventory, correct?
Yeah, a lot of people use it for inventory management. Mm-hmm. So the possibilities are endless. If you have questions, pop into our free private Facebook community, ask. We're not platform specific, so you can ask a question about any of the platforms, talk about what you use, talk about your solutions. We are an open community. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And to find that information and to get into our group, everything you can find is on consignmentchats.com. But before you go there, before you walk away, before you take your earphones off or you shut your computer down, whatever you're listening to us, stop, like, subscribe, review. I'm going to come up with a cheer, I think.
Oh, all right. And stay tuned for Molly's upcoming cheer. She likes to make songs for pretty much everything we do. So this is going to be good.
Everything has a song. So we're going to stop, like, subscribe, and review. There we have
Yeah,
it.
all right, that's fun. I like
There we
that.
have
I
it.
like that. We have so many fun, good tools and interesting conversations. We don't want you guys to miss out on it. We love chatting with you and hanging out with you and continuing to do what we do.
Absolutely. All right,
So-
Libby, until next time, my friend.
I don't have my coffee cup. Oh my gosh, first time I've ever been without it.
All right, give me an empty-handed cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for joining Libby and Molly, the ladies of Consignment Chats, as we build a resourceful community of collaborative resellers. Find all the ways to connect with us at consignmentchats.com. Episodes are available on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts. In addition, you can find us on Facebook in our Consignment Chats community. Until next time.